We are now going to take a look at installing MAMP on the Mac side. And what I have is the MAMP website right here. And on the home page, there is a download area. What we want is MAMP. So you want to click this Download Now link, and we'll get that particular download onto our website. So once that's complete, we can double-click this, and you will need to agree to the license. So I'll close up the website. We'll click Agree, and it will take you to this interface here. And within this interface, we're going to click on MAMP, and we're going to drag it into Applications. And it should copy over, and that should take care of installing MAMP. So we'll give that a second to install. So the MAMP icon is located inside your Applications folder. So I can click to open up the applications, and here is MAMP. If I open that up, inside of MAMP is the htdocs folder, and this is where our chapter files are going to go. I do have the course files right here, the unique VAC folder, and I'll drag those into the htdocs area. So now I've installed my course files. I've also installed MAMP. So if I go down to the MAMP icon, I will open this up, and we now have MAMP available, and we'll launch MAMP. You should see the Welcome to MAMP folder here. I'll close this one up, and here we are. Now this is how we actually administer and view information from the Mac side. The interface within the database is exactly the same interface as the PC side. So we go through creating a new database in the database setup. That's a separate movie. You will see slightly different tables in the left-hand side, or databases. So if I click on this one as an example, this is the Performance Schema database. And this drop-down is all of the databases available. You can see when we installed MAMP, we got 3 databases installed along with all of the installation of all of the other files. We're not going to worry about these. What we're going to do is actually install our own. To get to the home page for PHPMyAdmin, you'll click this little Home button. So we now have MAMP installed. The distinction between MAMP and XAMPP is by default, MAMP adds the semicolon 8888. What that means is MAMP is operating on port 8888. So anytime you reference your website, you will need to add this port number. So for this course on the Mac side, you will always have to add this particular port. This is the default version, and I think it's easiest just to work within this particular version. The reason MAMP installs on this port is because the Mac side also has a built-in Apache server, and you are better off not using that server. If you did use it, it does not have a full-fledged PHP environment built into it, and you also do not automatically get all of the MySQL pieces. So it's really best to use MAMP, and I thought it easiest if we just set it up on the default port. So when you go in Dreamweaver to set up your testing server area, you will need to add :8888 to your environment. So that's the only distinction between the Mac and PC side moving forward. So you can go ahead and move out to MAMP. You can access it. Here is the elephant that represents MAMP. So that's all there is to installing MAMP on the Mac side. What I want to do is walk you through the steps of setting up the testing server on the Mac side. Because we need to add the port number in the testing server area, I thought I would walk you through that step. I also want to show you this is the MAMP control panel. And right now I know my servers are on because they have a green light. If I click Stop Servers, that will turn them off, and you can see they turn to a red light. So that's how you turn on the web server and MySQL on the Mac side. Just click Start Servers or Stop Servers. Pretty easy to do that. Now let's move out to the Dreamweaver side. And in the Dreamweaver side, let's set up your website. Now, I do go through the course setup at least the basic setup, not the testing server piece, in the book chapter on Dreamweaver. So you may have already set this up, but we're going to walk through the entire process to make sure it's clear to you. So we're going to set up our site as Unique Vacations. In the local site folder, I'm going to go out to the htdocs folder inside of MAMP. Now to get to MAMP, I go out to Applications. When I scroll through the list, here is MAMP, and the htdocs folder is where I placed my course files. So that's the folder I want to choose. Now I'll move over to the servers area, and this is where we define our testing server. So I'll click Add New Server here. This is going to be my testing server. You just need to give it a name. That name actually shows up in this next interface area, and I can't move this over to show you that, so I'll show it to you at the end. Here's our local network. The server folder is that same one we chose before, Applications. We scroll down to MAMP. We want htdocs, and we want Unique Vacations. So we'll choose that folder. This is the piece that's different. This is really the only different piece on the PC other than the folder where that htdocs is stored. And we're going to set up localhost :8888/unique QUE vacations. There we go. So that is the only distinction, this little piece here. In addition to basic localhost, anytime you're referencing this information in your browser, you need to add this. What we're doing is telling Dreamweaver to do that for us, so anytime we preview pages directly from Dreamweaver, we don't have to worry about it. I'll click Save. This is going to be our testing server, not our remote server, so we'll click Save, and I will click Done. The last piece of what we need to do in terms of setting up our files is to just test a page and make sure that it works. So I'm going to go down to URL click in my Files panel. This page has some PHP installed on it. You can see I do have some red PHP code, and that's what we want. We want to make sure that our PHP is working, and what you can see is that we're actually pulling in the header for our website. So far so good. It looks like things are working. Let's double check it in the browser just to make sure. And there it is. So you can see the local host, because we plugged it into Dreamweaver, it really isn't a big deal unless you're going out to the browser separately outside of Dreamweaver, then you would need to type this in. Otherwise, you can just preview in browser in Dreamweaver. So if I click on cat, it's a cat. And that's a matter of our files specifically. So we know PHP is working. I was able to view that page. So our setup is all set. So that is installing MAMP, setting it up in Dreamweaver, setting up our course files into the htdocs folder, and actually turning on our servers and making sure that PHP is working correctly. So on the Mac side, we are all set to move forward.